So after the last banger trailer, I had to come back to this and rearrange my roster predictions because we have a lot more information than we had back when I made the first roster predictions video, and we also have a release date now. And with that release date, we can estimate how many more characters we have left to be revealed. There's a character trailer released every Monday, and there's only 15 more Mondays before the official release of the game. And 2 of those Mondays are actually reserved for Aizen and Yamamoto, who at the time of this recording haven't had their character trailers yet. So really, we only have 13 more characters to be revealed. And so I'm not going to go over every single tier I made here. It's pretty self-explanatory for a lot of these, but I do want to say what I think are the definitive 13 characters we have left to be revealed. For starters, I want to go over the shown but playable tier because I did move 𝐼𝐼𝐲 from the confirmed tier down to this one because we've seen so many cutscenes of her. We've seen her in a lot of these trailers. We've seen her character model, but we haven't once seen any gameplay of her. So I'm starting to lean towards the idea that she's just for the cutscenes, in a similar vein to 𝐞𝐞 and Old Man Zangetsu. Old Man Zangetsu, I moved from that tier after it was basically obvious that he's only going to be a part of 𝐤𝐼𝐲's movesets and, you know, be in the cutscenes, but he's not a playable character. 𝐼𝐼𝐲, on the other hand, she hasn't even been shown in gameplay. Like, at least Old Man Zangetsu has been shown in 𝐤𝐼𝐲's gameplay. 𝐼𝐼𝐲 hasn't been shown in anything. She's only been in cutscenes, so I think it's safe to say she might be a cutscene only character. However, I strongly believe that there's no way they would have Chad be a playable character and not 𝐼𝐼𝐲. So for that reason alone, I'm keeping her in the list. Then we have Zangetsu, who was, I think it was the very first Rebirth of Souls trailer. He popped up at the very end. He was teased. Another one who might just be in cutscenes, or he might be an outfit swap for 𝐤𝐼𝐲, or he might just be a boss character. There's so many different ways that they could still have him in the game without having him be a playable character. However, I do think Zangetsu is cool enough that they wouldn't just tease us like that. Granted, his moveset would be virtually the same as 𝐤𝐼𝐲's, I guess, except maybe a little bit more aggressive, a little bit more refined. But for the most part, it would just be 𝐤𝐼𝐲's moveset. That's why I say he might just be an outfit. Again, but still, he's too cool. He is way too cool for them to have in the game and then never let us get a taste. I don't think they would do that. So for that reason, I will keep Zangetsu this high in the list because I think it's still possible. I think it's still likely that both he and 𝐼𝐼𝐲 would be playable characters. Now, I briefly want to go over my picks for the most expected. Like, these are characters that obviously haven't been confirmed yet, but in my heart, they're confirmed. These are characters that I, for the life of me, can't imagine being left out of the game solely because of the way the game is structured and the other characters we do already have confirmed. Now, because of the game's opening cinematic that we did get a little while ago, we know Shunsui's character model is also in the game. And realistically speaking, I don't see how you could have Hitsugaya, Kisuke, Yamamoto, Byakuya. I don't see how you can have all these characters playable and not Shunsui. Even better example, how can you have 𝐼𝐧𝐝 in the game and not Shunsui? You know how crazy that would be to boot up your Bleach game and you see 𝐼𝐧𝐝, but there's no Shunsui to play as? Look, I hate Shunsui, okay? I hate this man. But under no circumstances should he be exempt from this game. He should be playable. I expect him the most, as a matter of fact. I thought his character trailer would be this recent Monday because of his episode last Saturday, but no, they just skipped this Monday, which is another thing. They did skip, I think, a total of 2 Mondays, so it's not a guarantee we're getting 13 more characters. They could skip another Monday. I don't think they're going to do that. They might though, who knows? But I made this list under the assumption that they're not going to do anything crazy like a 5-in-1 trailer, and they're also not skipping any more Mondays. So with that mindset, I say we have a total of 13 more characters to go through. And Shunsui has to be one of them. Same thing kind of applies to Kamamura. How can you have Tosen in the game and not Kamamura? Similarly, how can you have Tosen in the game but not Kamamura or Shuhei? How can you have Tosen and 𝐤𝐳𝐝 but no Shuhei? There's no way 𝐤𝐳𝐝 is in this game but Shuhei isn't. Also, applies to Ikkaku. How can you have 𝐤𝐳𝐝 in this game but not Ikkaku, right? Just wouldn't make any sense. Ikkaku has to be here. Also, Jidanbo is a boss, like confirmed. He's in the game. So 𝐤𝐼𝐲's biggest fights, Jidanbo and Kenpachi, obviously before Byakuya within the Soul Society, and Renji, all those fights are here. Another big fight he had was with Ikkaku. They can't possibly just skip Ikkaku. So similarly to Sajin and Shunsui, Ikkaku is too important to leave out. if all these other fights are going to be left in. So for sure, I say Ikaku's here. Shinji and Hiyori, I feel like, are the most plot relevant Vizards, to the point that if the game is going to go over this part of the story in as much detail as it's going over the rest of it, then these would be the only two that you actually have to have playable. The other Vizards I don't think are a necessity here. I feel like if they even have character models at all, they can be relegated to cutscenes. They don't really need to be playable characters in this game. But Shinji and Hiyori, definitely. Shinji for sure. That goes without saying. If any of them are going to be playable, it has to be Shinji. But I think Hiyori could be playable because she is the one that first trained, or not even technically trained, but like, she had her fight with Ichigo while he was trying to, you know, get his hollow mask under control and all that. And not to mention, she also helped Hitsugaya against Harabel, if memory serves me right. So if any of the Vizards had to be playable, I feel like, besides Shinji, obviously, it would have to be Hiyori. Now, Noritora is, this one, man, there's no way Nell is in the game and Noritora isn't, right? There's no way. But then that leads me to my next point. Noritora is in this game, but Stark and Harabel might not be. That doesn't sit right with me. I feel like Stark is guaranteed as long as Shunsui is guaranteed. No Shunsui would definitely mean no Stark. But I don't see why they would have Nell and Noritora, but not Stark. You know, that just, I know I might be biased because Stark is top 4 favorite Bleach characters of all time here. But even then, just logically speaking, Noritora and Nell, okay, I won't say Nell. Nell's a fan favorite. I get why people like Nell. But Noritora? Come on. And then that same thing applies for Harabel. I feel like she's also way too popular to just leave as a boss character or just be glossed over entirely. I feel like the top 3 Espada should be in the game to some capacity. Baragon's the only one I left down here in boss only tier because I feel like he's the one that would work best as a boss. I don't think we need a playable Baragon. It would be cool, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying I don't want him to be playable, but I don't think he's as needed as Stark and Harabel would be if all the Espada are going to be in the game in some form. That same thing applies to the rest of them, where we don't need them to be playable. Yami especially, Yami and Zomari, they just need to be bosses. They're not important enough to be playable characters. Adeniro, and then Sisilapuro, I feel like he could be playable because his fights were like, he was doing a lot of damage. He was doing a lot. He was cooking. He was cooking a lot more than Zomari, Adeniro, and Yami, right? But that said, I also don't think he was cooking enough to be a playable character. The biggest thing here is that even if he was playable, we only have 13 more characters left to be revealed, and I can't imagine him being prioritized over anyone else above in this list. So with all my said, my definitive ranking here is that Orihime and Zangetsu, they're still up in the air, but I'm going to say that they are also going to be playable characters, so they're also characters who just haven't gotten their reveal trailers yet. Then Shunsui, Sajin, Shuhei, Ikaku, Shinji, Stark, Harabel, Noritora, and Hiyori. I could be way off, but I feel like these are the characters that are all but guaranteed to be in the game because of all the things we've seen so far. That still leaves us with 2 more characters, and I was really iffy on this for a little while. I was thinking about it. I'm like, who could the last 2 characters be? And then it hit me. So obvious. The last 2 characters, Dangai Ichigo and Monster Aizen. It is so obvious. There's no way we're going all the way up to the defeat of Aizen, which they've confirmed. I know there was a lot of speculation where people were like, how far is this really going to go? Because in the initial reveal, they only said Arrancar invasion, which the Arrancar arc is very long, so there was a lot of stopping points, arguably. But it has been confirmed Aizen's defeat will be in this game. So we are getting Dangai Ichigo versus Monster Aizen, and there's no way that's going to be in the game, and both those characters aren't playable. We already know Ichigo has 2 forms. We have Shikai Ichigo and Bankai Ichigo. With that being the case, there's no way Aizen's not getting a second slot as well. There's too many forms of Aizen not for one of them to have a reawakening gimmick, right? So yeah, Dangai Ichigo and Monster Aizen for the last 2 slots. And that is the 13 characters I feel are all but guaranteed to fill out the rest of this roster. And then that just leaves us with the DLC. I did want to briefly talk about this. It might be my bias speaking, but I really don't want Lost Agent to be the only arc that's not represented in some fashion in this game. That would really suck in my humble opinion. We have obviously everything from Substitution Nagami all the way up to the defeat of Aizen in the Arrancar arc. And while we don't have 1000-Year Blood War story content or 1000-Year Blood War battles to go over, we are getting 1000-Year Blood War costumes for the characters already in the game. So with that in mind, that basically would mean we have representation for every arc except Lost Agent. I don't like the sound of that. That would really grind my gears, admittedly. Look, I'm just gonna say it. Lost Agent arc is my favorite arc of Bleach. As a matter of fact, if it wasn't for the Lost Agent arc, I wouldn't even be this big of a fan of Bleach, okay? I would have still liked Bleach, definitely, sure, but it was the Lost Agent arc that really got me passionate about this series. That arc was so good, so peak. I don't care what anyone says, it's the best. Now back on track. If Lost Agent arc is going to be represented in this game, I feel like it is best to just have them be the DLC characters. There's really no room for them in the story because of the way this game is being, because of the way this game is telling the story. And so to just make them DLC characters, I feel like that works because that also eliminates the need to make all the Fullbringers playable. Like, we don't need this guy whose name I don't even remember. We don't need this guy whose name I also don't remember. It started with an S. And we don't need Jackie, right? 𝐤𝐤𝐢 is a debatable one. It's up in the air whether or not 𝐤𝐤𝐢 should be playable over Riruka or not. But I'm gonna lead towards Riruka only because she's a girl and we know what demographic that will appeal to. But also because between the two of them, I feel like she would have a less complicated moveset to actually develop. I feel like trying to make a moveset for 𝐤𝐤𝐢 in a fighting game, especially one as intricate and detailed as this one, would be a little bit too much. 𝐤𝐤𝐢 would probably be too much for the devs to handle right about now. So I say it would be Riruka, Tsukushima, Ginjo, and the 4th DLC slot, or even the first one because he'd probably come out first, Fullbring Bankai Ichigo. Or Fullbring Ichigo, whichever one. I feel like it would make more sense to go Fullbring Bankai, but either one would be fine with me. I just want Lost Agent represented in this game some sort of way. But yeah, for the time being, that is my final roster prediction. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. Am I way off base? Am I spitting? Do you have your own predictions? Let me know. I want to hear them. And while you're down there, give the video a thumbs up if you wouldn't mind. I would greatly appreciate it. And yeah, I'll catch you guys whenever.